here today on Long Lake on April 3rd, 2021, and we're here with
Roger Morno. Yeah, we yesterday actually accomplished cutting the world's largest ice carousel. I'm standing on the edge right here, which froze over quite nicely in the night, but that shouldn't be an issue. Our next step is to actually clear this ice out next weekend on Saturday. And we're going to spin this thing, and we're going to be in the Guinness Book of World Records for two reasons. This is now the largest ice carousel ever created. It's 1,234 feet in diameter. The current world record, which is held by Jani Capoletto in Finland and his crew, was 1,020 feet. We decided to squeeze the edges on that. This, at 1,234 feet, is a 27-acre disc of area. And we did some quick math, and it weighs over 100 million pounds because there's 17 inches of ice times this area. So it's we're probably going to be in the record book for the heaviest carousel and the largest diameter.
Now, how thick's the ice?
17 inches, which made it easy to cut. That's why we had no idea we could cut this carousel in a day. Because the last one we had katabatic winds and below zero temperatures and 34 inches of ice. So with a nice sunny day and 25 degrees, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day to cut. And as you can see, the ice is flat. There's no slush. There's no snow. We didn't have to do anything. It was like a perfectly clear slate for us to work on.
Now, Roger, why are you doing it?
Because I'm an idiot.
That's number one?
I think so. But you can't imagine what happened yesterday. You should have seen the people out here, the joy. There was like this electric energy of all these people that were so excited. And just like, oh my God, Roger, I can't believe you did this. And this is so much fun. And it is. We just got, I don't know, it was probably 100 people came out here yesterday. Most to help, some just to watch, some to take pictures. We had some awesome drone footage, which hopefully we can compile together. And I do it for sure because it's something fun to do this time of the year. There's not much else we can do in April, end of April or middle of April at this time of the year. This year, I mean, because it's early. We lost all our snow. We can't go snowmobiling. So you know what? Let's try to beat the world record. And for this particular thing, we're in a very close competition. And there's 3 of us right now in the world that we're good friends. We've all met. I've been to Minnesota. I was supposed to go to Finland this year, but that didn't work out. We couldn't travel to Finland this year. So next year I'm going to Finland for sure. Yanni says he's coming here if we do this again next year. He couldn't travel here this year either. But there's Jani Capoletto from Finland, and there's Chuck Zwilling from Little Falls, Minnesota. And then, of course, there's our crew here, the Northern Maine Ice Busters. So it's kind of fun. It's a friendly competition. And Yanni went way and beyond. The previous world record was 749 feet. So he could have went 800 or 900 feet, but no, not Mr. Capoletto. He had to break the 1,000-foot mark. Because our idea was to go 999 on this one, let somebody else break the 1,000. But I'm like, oh, you want to do that? Well, add 200 feet to your circle, sir. And we did. And that adds a lot of area to it, but it worked out good. It really did.
If you're at 1,200 feet, how big a disc can you actually cut?
On this lake? I mean, the size of the disc is only limited by the size of the body of water you can put it on. But there's realistics to actually spinning it after it gets so big. On this lake, we set the circle program out, and we can do an 8,000-foot circle on this lake. So we're not out of the running yet. And poor Chuck up in Little Falls, he's out when he gets above 1,500 feet as diameter. He won't be able to do a circle on his lake. So start looking, Chuck.
No. How did you start the process? I mean, how did you get it perfectly round?
It's an RTK GPS, and they set up a base station over there which talks to the satellites many times, so it knows where it is to a very specific sub-centimeter point in space. Then you have a handheld wand, which he comes out here and he looks at his screen, and there's a little arrow that points this way, and he moves it around, and when he sets it down, it's less than 1 centimeter off of exactly where it should be. And when we went around, we took the 2 crews and went in 2 different directions. So the whole day was spent, 8, 9, 10 hours. And as we started coming around, we're like, is this the old story where the 2 bridges come together and they don't line up? But when we came around, they're drilling, and the last 2 holes were spot on with each other exactly. So this is a perfect circle. And we had one drone that was able to get up and do a picture of it. It's pretty impressive when you look at it from the sky. It'll look better with some stuff on here to give it some perspective. Because with nothing on it when he did it last night, it was just a big, like a gray circle in the lake. But until you can see a snowmobile, a car, or people there, you won't have any perspective of how large this circle is.
So now you've already cut it. It took you one day to do this.
Which was an amazing feat. Everything has to go perfectly correct to do that in a day, to move that much ice. And I don't remember what they said. The actual ice we took out of here was about 21 tons, I'm told, there for just what we took out of here. And of course, most of that was cut, and it's all in those shavings right there. We didn't physically remove most of it. Some was cut with the machine, some with the augers, and then the chainsaws came around and finished up the edges for us.
So now what happens next weekend? I mean, I'm assuming this is not going to turn by itself.
No, next weekend. We got skunked last year for obvious reasons of whatever, and I had all summer to stew over that in anger, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm building me a propeller, a big one. So I had a guy find a propeller up in Alaska, and he brought that back with him in his pickup truck, a big 24-inch brass propeller, weighs 45 pounds, and I got a power plant from an old potato harvester that used to turn the blower fan on a potato harvester, and I made a contraption of shafts and U-joints that go down into the water, so that's what's going to turn this one, hopefully, if it works.
Now,
it'll work.
I hope so.
It'll work.
Now, what powers it?
It's a 262 Ford inline 6-cylinder motor. So it's about 155, 160 horse. So it has a lot of torque. And of course, when you're moving that much water, there'll be a tremendous amount of force on this. And yes, even though this is 100 million pounds, if you continuously apply force to it, there's very little resistance. So it'll eventually start to move very slowly, and I don't foresee it going very fast. Even out here on the edge, I doubt it'll go a mile an hour. So it's probably going to take about 2 hours for this to make a full revolution. And what we're going to do, we're going to paint a line across the crack. We're going to start the motor, and when that line begins to diverge, of course, it'll go all the way around, and when it lines back up, we're in the Guinness Book of World Records. So that's our goal for next Saturday, April 10th.
One full revolution.
Once we've already made the diameter. If this revolves one time, Guinness Book of World Records. We've got all the paperwork done. We filled it all out, and of course it has to be documented by a licensed agency. But the Sackett and Brake surveying company, who graciously gave their time to do this, are going to make a full carousel report. In other words, they're going to give the area, dimensions, and all that other stuff, and then they're going to stamp it, and we're going to have it notarized, and we're going to ship it off to Guinness, and then 6 to 8 weeks later, we'll be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we get the trophy back in St. Agatha. Because much to my chagrin, I had to fly with it in my arm out to Minnesota 2 years ago and hand deliver it to Chuck Zwilling. And of course, he had to mail it to Finland. So he put it on airmail and he mailed it over. So Yanni has it in Finland right now. I told him, you're not putting it in the mail. It's not allowed. We're actually going to change the rules. If you have the trophy and you get beat, you have to hand deliver it. That's the new rules. I don't care where in the world you have to bring it to, you have to hand deliver it.
So you're looking for a free trip to Finland?
Probably have to pay for it myself, but it is what it is. I still want to go. I've never been there, so I think it'll be fun.
That'd be great. So once the diameter was all marked out, then what did you do?
What we did is we followed the surveyors with their wands, as they're called, and he puts a mark down right there, and a guy with an auger comes right over after him. And if he got ahead of us, he put a little dot of paint where the center should be. So the guy with the auger would come over, drop it right on that, auger a hole. And we augered a hole every 3 feet. And we really wouldn't have needed to. We could have used the ditch witch and the chainsaws and everything. But it does two things. It helps the ditch witch stay in the center of the circle. And of course, it's a line. It's laid out. And an auger takes about maybe 30 seconds to go through. And then the guys would switch off. They'd go, and then we followed them around. We started from the closest point to the shore. We followed each other around, and the team with the ditch witch, we did about at least 2/3 of it because it was quite a bit faster. The team with the two chainsaws going this way, they did well, but obviously the machinery helped us do it quite a bit faster.
So you had two crews with augers going in different
Yes,
directions.
we had 3 augers on each side, so we had 6 augers, and we had plenty of guys. They'd swap off if you got tired going in 2 different directions. And then we started here with the chainsaws going in 2 directions, and I got the ice cutter out onto the lake here, and I dropped that down. I was just amazed at how fast it went. I just put that in gear and drive. It was fun.
Did they count how many holes they dug?
1,000. 280 some odd holes because we did a hole in every point. And of course, a couple guys drilled a few extras, but safe to say we did 1,300 holes.
Unbelievable.
Yep, big stuff.
How many people were here? I mean, actually,
there was certainly 100 at any given time. Like at the end when we met together, somebody did a quick count and there was 50 some odd people there at that point, all in one place. So we had a very, very good turnout. It was an excellent turnout, and it was awesome to see because we didn't expect to be done. The elation in the crowd was off the charts, and my head spinning. I'm like, well, we got to work tomorrow, and I was lost because I don't know what to do today and tomorrow. We got no idea, but anyway, that'll give us time. We got one more meeting Thursday night at 6 o'clock at the Lakeview. And then that'll be the final plans for us to meet Saturday morning, or maybe stage some stuff out here Friday night, the machines, the motors and whatnot. And then on Saturday morning, it's going to be full force. We're going to clean whatever ice is left in here. We'll need a few volunteers to go around and clean that out because it is quite, in one night it froze 2 inches. This is what it froze. This is one night's freezing on Long Lake when it's below the freezing mark. So we had a tremendous amount of ice, but I have a feeling if it gets warm during the day that this might even melt out because the color is a lot darker than the surrounding ice, so the sun will beat it up pretty hard. It's already getting wet on top of it. So that's our plan for next week, and then off to the record book.
to start the ice carousel to spin, it needs a lot of energy. Once it spins, just the momentum of the ice will continue to make it turn. But to get it going, this motor from a potato harvester, along with a 2-foot in diameter propeller attached to this 160 horsepower engine, will be used to get the ice carousel spinning. The propeller was brought in all the way from Alaska to make the ice carousel spin. So now it's a matter of taking the motor, which is on a trailer, and bringing it onto the ice. The width of the trailer is almost too wide for the ramp itself. As you can see, sheets of plywood are making it wide enough for at least to get the trailer onto the ramp. It is a tight fit. The tire is just on the edge of the ramp. So the plywood sheets are slipped one by one underneath, at least to make it wide enough to get the motor onto the ramp.
Keep going.
One by one.
One more time.
The sheets are added. The trailer moves one more step to get to the edge of the ramp so they can be brought onto the ice. We're almost there and we're onto the ice. Now the ice is soft and the trailer is dragging down the four-wheeler. The 50-degree temperature right now is making the surface ice melt and get soft. So this is why it's becoming difficult to move it across. The separation here between the ice, 12 inches wide, sheet of plywood put across, and the engine was driven onto the ice carousel. And now the motor is on the ice carousel itself. And now we're bringing barrels that are going to be tied to the motor to make sure that it doesn't sink. Now the barrels are going to be secured to the trailer which is going to be holding the motor. Just in case the ice should break, at least the trailer is going to float with the motor. The 4 barrels are going to be attached to the trailer, as you can see, being secured with these straps. And now we have to anchor the trailer to the ice itself. And that's by drilling 2 drill holes, putting a piece of steel under the ice, and tying it directly. And now that the hole is dug, a piece of ice will go underneath the ice and will hold it in place. One on both sides of the trailer. And now we're getting ready to cut the hole in the ice with the propeller. It'll be a 3 feet by 5 feet hole. Now the blocks are taken out. As you can see, there's at least 12 inches of real clear ice. Now that the hole is dug, we need to attach the propeller itself to the frame to the actual shaft of the motor. Now we're moving the propeller into place. Please line it up in the hole. Now it has to line up perfectly in those slots.
Ready, go. Ready? Easy. Ready, go. Okay. Little drill, right? Hang on, out. Watch your fingers. Stop it. Go. Step on the front.
And there they go, bolting the propeller to the motor. And now it's a matter of attaching the drive shaft to the shaft of the propeller.
Real good. Okay. Keep one of these. Don't drop it, Gary.
You can see the pieces are going to line up. And this will complete the operation connecting the motor and the propeller together. You can actually see the shaft going down into the water. The propeller is under the ice. When the trench was cut, there were 3 sections, about 3 foot long, of ice that were left in place. And this was to hold the ice from bumping back into each other. Basically, there were spacers. Now we're getting ready to remove them. Now the block is free. There are 2 more of these on opposite sides of the carousel. Now we're going around the perimeter of the entire carousel to make sure that all of the ice is broken all around it. There was a thin skim of ice that formed overnight, but now we're checking to make sure everything is broken. Shovel down in the hole, just making sure that everything is broken. Sometimes there are small pieces of ice that are stuck.
Did you hit something? It must have been this.
the motor just got started, and turning on the drive shaft, you can actually see the drive shaft turn and the water starts to bubble in the hole. The thrust that that propeller is doing in the water.
Bring that down a little bit.
And this is the point that it's supposed to be turning. It actually moved a few inches a little while ago just by the idling of the motor. It has to turn one full revolution to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. But this is the point that we're going to be watching to make sure that it moves. As you can see, the ice has already shifted just a bit.
Because of the force. It's moving right now. Look,
Yeah, you can actually see it move.
it's moving.
Look at it turn, and the motor is just idling. And you can see how it's moving slowly. It takes a lot of force to move this huge block of ice.
Going. Yo! Moving. It's turning. It's turning. See it turning.
You can see it slowly moving. It'll take a while. Estimating 2 hours to make this thing turn a complete revolution. Look at it move.
All you gotta do is make one revolution. Yep. Complete rotation.
Hey, it's,
Hey, look at this.
hey, it's moving. It's starting to pick up here.
See that propeller? Did you get any pictures?
It's already moved 4 feet, and it's moving rather quickly at the moment. The ice carousel is spinning.
Spinning.
You can see the propeller turning slowly, and it's making this ice carousel turn. You can see it spin. And it's only been 5 minutes since the engine was started. 160 horsepower. Pushing the 2 points 10 minutes ago were together, and now they're separated by almost 30 feet. And it's only been 10 minutes since the revolution started.
But now, the motor will be stopped, and the carousel will slowly stop spinning. This is Friday, April 9th, and the real festivities, including the complete spin of the carousel, will happen tomorrow, April 10th, starting at 10 a.m.
And this is April 10, 2021, and we're here at the Long Lake Boat Launch, where today the Northern Maine Ice Busters are planning on breaking the Guinness World Record for ice carousels. Beautiful sunny day in St. Agatha. Temperature in the 50s at the moment, is supposed to reach 60. And the festivities have started. Since the ice is softening up, a lot of people are staying right on shore. As you can see, a lot of people are standing waiting for this thing to see the world record being broken by the Ice Carousel. In order to qualify for the Guinness Book of World Records, the Ice Carousel has to be measured precisely by a licensed surveyor. And here we have the surveyor who set up the equipment and is going to be measuring precisely the dimensions, the size of the ice carousel. That certification has to be submitted to the Guinness Book of World Records to be entered in their publications. As a backup to the main engine, the 160 horsepower motor, several outboards are being placed on the ice. This is just in case something should happen to the main motor. And now we're going around the perimeter with this 2x4 in the ice just to make sure that it hasn't frozen somewhere, is not hung up on some piece of ice. People are using the bridge to get over onto the ice carousel. The arrows have been put on the ice, reset to be equal. This is going to be the first time that it spins. The carousel is on your right and the shore is on your left. Hopefully, we should start seeing the carousel start moving. And as you can see, the ice carousel is moving. Ever so slowly, but it has started to spin. It takes a while for the momentum to start, but clearly it is moving. It has to make one complete revolution and may take an hour, but clearly it is moving. 1,234 feet in diameter of ice. Slowly starting to move. I watch this. As you can see, it's slowly moving.
That's the beginning of it right there. That's the perfect. Oh wait, whoa, no!
The start of the one complete revolution on this ice carousel, cut out and put on by the Northern Maine Ice Busters, where the arrows are separating constantly, slowly moving. It may take as much as 2 hours to complete the revolution, but there's no question it is moving and it will complete. And people are enjoying the carousel. Some even sitting and enjoying a ride. Going round and round. By car, by snowmobile, walking. People are just having a good time here at the Ice Carousel. And this is the actual engine that's powering this ice carousel. You can see people are being careful where they step and how they step, because the ice on the surface is slowly melting. Now this is the finish line.
There we go.
And if you look,
One more, just
the ice carousel is moving counterclockwise. And the canoe that you see out there with a cone on it is where the arrow that's going to match the arrow that's in front of us. That will complete the revolution. As you can see, it won't be very long before it gets here. A lot of people are here just to view the two arrows get together. A lot of people on the lake enjoying this 50-degree weather. And we even have helicopters coming in all the way from Portland just to view the Ice Carousel. Probably in the next 5 minutes, the carousel will be coming around and go right past this point, completing the entire revolution. A lot of excitement here at the finish line on this ice carousel at Long Lake. And there's our finish line, which is coming up. All the people are eyeing this spot. Less than 50 feet to go before the two arrows with this fluorescent paint match together, completing the revolution. Getting ready for the countdown.
Start counting. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Way too fast. Way too fast. 5 again. 5 again. All right, we're getting there. Wow, this is going somewhere. Hang up. 4, 3, 2, 1. I have a second. Maybe like a quarter. Quarter and a half. Us, we did it. 0. We did it, my friends. Start the band. Number 1. I know.
It's gone by the spot.
There we go, bud. We're ready to party now, boys and girls.
Now in the world record. Guinness Book of World Records for the Ice Carousel. Here at Long Lake, put on by the Northern Maine Ice Busters. Now the marker and the canoe have gone by the finish line. Time to start planning next year's Ice Carousel. Roger, congratulations.
Thank you.
The Ice Busters have made it again.
We did it again by literally the skin of our teeth. Because I don't know if you noticed when the two arrows came around to meet, we had so many people there, it was actually pushing the ice out. We got 10 inches of ice, which is inherently safe, but with that many people on it, this lady, who would have believed that at April 10th, we would have been wrestling with the ice conditions, but we did it. We just entered the Guinness Book of World Records.
Any last words to Minnesota and to Finland?
A couple. Thanks, guys, for doing what you guys do out there. Chuck's Willing and his family event out there is awesome. I've been there. Yanni Capoletto is the madman behind all this. Everybody thinks I am. I'm following in Yanni's footsteps. He's done hundreds of carousels, and I've done 4 now. So he's the king. He's the president of the World Ice Carousel Association. So kudos to those guys. Awesome to them. And thank you for making such a big disc, Yanni. You could have went with an 800, you know it, but you had to do 1,020. Anyway, we beat you. We did our 1,200 footer here, and I'm looking forward to going to Finland next year. That I want to do, or to Yanni, to Chuck's place in Minnesota, which I've already been, but now I'd like to give the courtesy to Mr. Capoletto and wind up in Finland next year.
What went into, what organizations, the support that you had Who did you say thank you to?
I thank all of the volunteers that work the late nights of organizing this. Nobody can see what goes on behind it. You don't imagine that there's nothing to it. I just cut a hole in the ice. It's not like that. We have to get saws and ice augers, and we have to have machines, and there's so many man hours going to doing this. So I'd like to say thank you to all of my team at the Ice Busters, because they were instrumental in this. And at some point I hit a low and I'm like, guys, I'll quit if you guys want. I can't do this without you. So if you have to swear to me you're in this to the end on this. And they were all like, dude, are you kidding? Yes, we're going. Yes, it's a go. Let's do this. So with a support team like that behind you, you can't lose. You cannot lose.
Any other supporters? The town?
Oh, of course. And those are too numerous. I would hope you go over and see the board over there. We made a board. So for my mind to process all the people on that, there's hundreds of them. Kennel Electric was huge on that. I don't want to forget anybody. Chamberlain Trucking, there's a million other people that helped us out. So please go over there and make a note of the sponsors that did help us on the financial side of that to help out donating this service or that service. So yes, there is a lot of people that did help.
Well, thank you, Roger. Thank you from the community, from everybody.
Thank you for always being here and all the cold nights slogging around on a non-frozen lake.
Thank you.
You're welcome.